Welcome to the Unpacking It Live podcast presented by Medi-Share. I'm Bryce Johnson. For the next hour, we will unpack sports, faith, and life with you and the Unpacking It community of sports fans. Luke is here. Henry is here. We have a new intern, Landon, who's in studio with me today in Charlotte. We are fired up for topics today that include the NBA playoffs. Do we like the physical play? Do we like the flagrant fouls? How do we feel about Dallas getting back into this series? We got to hear from Luke, the Mavs fan. The Warriors, Grizzlies. It's been an awesome series, but now with Ja Morant out, what does that mean for the Grizzlies? We also have to discuss a little NFL today. The NFL schedule gets released later this week, but we already heard about the first Monday Night Football doubleheader, and so we'll have some fun discussing that. We've got a loaded tap drill segment today, and it includes a topic about square dancing, the MVP, and some other fun. And then we also have a great Medi-Share moment of the week that we'll get to in just a little bit. Today on the show, we will also do Unpack This, as we always do, where we take a sports story related to the Bible, relate it to our own lives. And today's topic, for the first time ever, is about horse racing. I don't think we've ever talked horse racing. I don't think we've really, fully unpacked it here on a live show, but we're doing it today. And we got a great topic surrounding that big Kentucky Derby win on Saturday, which I happened to catch. It was exciting. Very, very cool. Well, before we say hello to Luke and before we talk Mother's Day, I got to tell you what I did for my wife on Mother's Day, the mother of my two sweet daughters. We'll do that in a moment. But let me thank our presenting sponsor, Medi-Share. If you're looking for an affordable, reliable healthcare option that you can trust, check out Medi-Share today. Medi-Share.com/unpackingit. Medi-Share offers programs for every budget. So if you're an individual, parent, small business owner, ministry leader, self-employed, Medi-Share has options for you. The best part is their members, on average, save 50% or more on their healthcare costs. Go to Medi-Share.com/unpackingit. And my family, we're Medi-Share members, and so thankful for how it saves us money, and just great to have them as our healthcare option. So we're very thankful for sure. Medi-Share.com/unpackingit. All right, Luke, yesterday was Mother's Day. How did it go for you? Did you celebrate your mom? How was the weekend?
The weekend was good. I was with Madeline's family. So we went to Pittsburgh, Texas, not Pittsburgh, PA, Pittsburgh, Texas. And yeah, we did some kayaking, some paddle boarding at a lake there, and hung out with them.
What do you prefer? Paddle boarding or kayaking?
So I will say, part of me wants to try to promote myself as some athlete here and say paddleboarding, but it's not even close. Kayaking is so much better.
Yeah.
Paddleboarding, you have to stand, you have to balance. You're working out, basically. Kayaking, you just sit down and enjoy it. I am just
so much fun.
I'm so much team sitting down in general. Like when I'm gone from my house for too long, I'm daydreaming of my couch. Like I just want to be on my couch. So like I'm wearing this hat right here. I'm going to be volunteering at the Colonial in Fort Worth, the Charles Schwab Challenge.
Ooh.
And I'm already concerned. I'm going to be there. It's a 10-hour shift. That's 10 hours away from my couch, not being able to sit down, get horizontal. So yeah, kayaking gets a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, I like kayaking as well. Like the still water, what do they call it? There's another name for it, not still water, but whatever, the calm kayaking. Now you start talking about going down rivers, that's another level I'm not on yet. That's for sure. But I've done the paddle boarding a couple times, but one time in particular in Tennessee, outside Nashville, I think it's called the Cumberland River. And we accidentally rode like in the stream down the Cumberland River. Well, then we had to go back up stream. No. After we had already paddled as much as we did. It was insane. So that was my bad experience. And not to mention the Cumberland River, not real clean. And so we're paddleboarding some nasty water and trying to make it back. It was
yes.
It was tricky. So that's cool. You got to do a little bit of both.
Yeah, I will say, very thankful for the moms out there. Mother-in-law, great lady. Shout out to Kristen. My mom, she is amazing. Loyal listener of the podcast. So I'm Garrett, 100% certainty she will hear this. But called her yesterday, just told her, I think I was just thinking about how great is it to be raised by a woman who proclaimed to me God's word and a woman who loves God. Like that is, I was just being filled with gratitude yesterday for, I feel like it's easy to take that for granted, but we're just feeling very thankful for a mother that did that. So
Amen.
Made sure to tell her that. And that's the biggest thing she could ever do to me is preach to me the truth of scripture. So I was feeling thankful for that. Also shout out to the Mavs. Ooh, wrong side. There we go. The Mavs had to throw on the polo today, which we'll get into
sharp
later.
Polo. Absolutely.
But before we move ahead, I've got to hear about your Mother's Day. I'm just fascinated. You've got your mom.
Yep.
But then you've got a wife who's a mother. And I'm curious on what your tasks are day of on Mother's Day.
All right, so let me say this first. I have a tremendous mom. I love my mom so much. She started Unpacking It with me, still works with Unpacking It 9 years later, and so she's worn so many different hats with the ministry behind the scenes. You guys get to see me on the podcast. She's doing a lot of things behind the scenes to keep this ministry going as long as it has, and we're very thankful for that. Not to mention all my mom has done just to keep me going. As her firstborn son. And so she's been just so supportive and an encourager to me all these years. And so got to go over to my parents' house yesterday. We celebrated a little bit. And so my mom made dessert, which was nice. So we celebrate her, but nobody wants me making dessert. So she makes dessert, but we still celebrate her, right? And I brought my girls over to give Jody a break. And then my poor mom, she's the one hanging out with the girls on Mother's Day. I was like, Mom, why don't you just relax? But thankfully, now that the kids are out of the house, she gets to relax, in general. So I was able to hang out with my two daughters over there. But I say the nice things. I'll talk about Jody in a moment. But the other part of this day, so, growing up, it's like, oh, you celebrate your mom. Well, then, you get married and you start having kids. Well, now all of a sudden, your wife, it's Mother's Day for her. So now I'm juggling two things. And so it's safe to say this is the most, not the most, but it's one of the most important holidays of the year because I absolutely think mothers should be celebrated. They're so important. They're incredible. But as a husband and son, it's the hardest day of the year. There's so much pressure. It's so intense. It's just like you're giving the day away. You're doing all you can to try to make your wife feel special. And your mom. And I feel like I failed in many ways, but this was probably it was my third year attempting this. It was my best one yet. So I still have a ways to go.
Wow.
It was my best one yet. So here's how the day started. I made Jody breakfast.
Ooh.
Now, some people, you hear that the dads, they make their wife breakfast in bed with, eggs and bacon and all that. I made a bowl of oatmeal for Jody.
Oh, that was my question. Did you just pour her a bowl of cereal?
A wonderful bowl of oatmeal. The microwave did a great job with the oatmeal. So we got her started the right way with a healthy bowl of oatmeal and brown sugar. And then before church, yesterday we dedicated Michaela at our church.
Great.
So that was cool. But before that, I took Jody's car out to get it cleaned.
Ooh,
so
nice.
A pre-church car cleaning.
Wow.
So I'm out there. It was actually cold in Charlotte yesterday, but I'm out there, drying and Windexing and
you hand washed it,
vacuumed and everything. Well, I took it through the car wash and then I dried it myself. And
now you're out on a chilly Sunday morning, shirtless, just going to town on the car.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It was very cold. I had my shirt on. Thank you very much, Lou. This isn't your fantasy today. But so I was able to clean Jody's car, which was great. Well, then we went to church. Then I came back. I made her lunch. So not only breakfast, I made her lunch. Guess what I made her for lunch?
A bowl of cereal, a sandwich.
peanut butter and jelly.
Gosh, you're really digging deep. You're deep into your bag of tricks.
Check that. It's not even peanut butter. Almond butter. We went all out for the almond butter.
From Trader Joe's?
Butter and jelly.
Trader Joe's almond butter?
I can't confirm that, but
Okay.
it was almond butter. So anyways, I made her breakfast, and then my Jody got to go out with her mother for dinner. So it was a big day. We had fun, but I did realize it's one of the more challenging days of the year. There's no question about it.
So we can't too quickly gloss over that the meals, although you did spend the effort to make 2 meals for your wife, which is tremendous because that is certainly not the norm. And Sunday morning, you're washing the car. But while you're making oatmeal in PB&J, are there thoughts in the back of your head telling you, this just isn't good enough?
Yeah.
Can I do better here?
Yeah, especially for, Jody is a tremendous mother, and, having to be pregnant with both of them and nursing and taking care of them every day, juggling 2 of them. They're only 2 years apart. So
she's a beast.
She's a champion. There's no question about it. And so the other thing is, as important as the one day of the year is, you go all out for Mother's Day. It's like, where do you even begin? Like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich compared to the countless meals that she's making for both daughters all day, every day.
Right.
I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, what can you do? And then like for my mom, like I didn't even get her a card yesterday. It's like, it's almost a smack in the face. What, a card for all that she's done for me for 35 years of my life. And here's a card. That's not enough. So I said, forget the card. I'm not doing a card. So that's where I came out on that too. So it's a very challenging day. So I'm curious for the listeners today, what did you do? What was your approach for your own mom, for your wife? If you have kids with your wife, what's the approach for the ladies listening today? What do you like on Mother's Day? What's the win? What's the win on Mother's Day? Curious, some post-game reaction from Mother's Day weekend. Would love to hear that.
I really do think a heavy dose of gratitude is a great gift. However that's communicated, maybe PB&J is the extent of your capabilities in the kitchen, and maybe that really shows, hey, I am so thankful for you. I'm going to prove it by dominating this PB&J. Or it's just words of affirmation on just somehow communicating, because you make a point. A card can never communicate or be some type of equivalent. Oh, you've done all this? Yeah, here's a card for your hard work as a mother. No, it is a slap in the face.
It's tough. You try something.
Some way of communicating the gratitude that they deserve, because moms are absolute studs. Absolutely. And especially like my mom, my mother-in-law, and whenever Madeline and I have kids, I know she's going to be tremendous. So some type of gratitude. But I think based on your history of food making, you've got barf dip, and then you've got the staples. Give me the cereals, the oatmeals, the PB&Js, maybe some pasta with some marinara sauce.
Yes.
But you can count on it. Consistent product.
That's right. Absolutely. You can always count on my delicious loaded peanut butter and jelly sandwich, or almond butter and jelly. She's unfortunately with our daughter, we've had different dietary restrictions. So Jody like eggs and dairy. So I'm going. If you're eliminating grilled cheese, then I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble then at that point. So it gets tricky. Well, all right. Well, there you go. There's Mother's Day weekend. Would love to hear. You can leave your comments wherever you're listening. Give us your thoughts, whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn. Thanks to everybody listening today. We'll dive into some sports talk here now as well. We'll get to the Kentucky Derby, which was fascinating, in a moment. But let's start with I'm convinced. You can let us know what you're convinced of as well. But here's what I'm convinced of today. There's an article on theathletic.com written by David Aldridge, longtime NBA beat writer, and I've been listening, reading, following him for 20 years, gosh, longer than that, since I was 10.
He's been doing it forever.
So he's a legend. But in his article, this is how he closes, and I'm convinced he's right on. He says, rejoice in ugly playoff basketball. It's the very best basketball. Absolutely. I'm loving these NBA playoffs. I'm loving how physical it is. I'm loving how ugly and grinded out it can be at times. The hard fouls, the questionable calls, the intensity. It has been great. Tonight we get the Warriors and Grizzlies, which to me has been the best series so far. They've only played 3 games. But then we've seen the flip-flop in series as well. Your Dallas Mavs are back in. We know that's been an intense series as well.
Yep.
With some physical play. Chris Paul getting called for the fouls. Usually he's playing dirty and he doesn't get called for those fouls.
Nope.
But last night, for whatever reason, they called those fouls.
It came back to bite him, fouling out with 9 minutes remaining. Oh, it was so good to see.
It was so early. But some of the topics that come up with these playoffs have really been defined by physical play. And I was even arguing with my brother yesterday on Mother's Day. We got a little sports talk in on Mother's Day. But like the Dylan Brooks foul where he ended up getting suspended with the long arm kind of swinging.
Yeah.
And
didn't even jump. He kind of stayed on the ground.
Well, no, the big one where he swung and wasn't that was Gary Payton.
Yeah, but like he didn't even like on his swing, it's like he just like ran through him. He didn't like jump up to try to go get the ball. It seemed like he was just going right through him.
I got you. But my thought is those types of plays, I'm not as offended by them as some NBA fans are, and thinking, all right, you got to get him out of the game. Like you got to kick that guy out. He shouldn't be playing. That was intentional. I have a tough time as a fan thinking that these players are out to hurt each other. I don't buy it. I don't buy that narrative. Now, I do think there are certain players that, especially veteran players like Chris Paul, that have, over the course of their career, shown that they like to operate in the gray area of the game of basketball. And depending on certain refs, they get away with those things, and certain, series or certain refs, they don't get away with it. And so I don't necessarily love that aspect of it. But to me, when guys, to me, like Dylan Brooks, he hasn't been known as a dirty player. And
True.
So that one, kind of tough foul to now all of a sudden draw all these big conclusions, I'm not willing to go there.
Yeah.
I don't think he should have been suspended. And I understand that sometimes they suspend guys based on how injured the player gets that was fouled. And I'm not sure I buy into that either. So I really wrestle with all of this. Where do you come out on it? Like, I enjoy it as a fan. I want to see guys care. I want to see the physical play. I don't want to see dirty play. I don't want to see guys that are, the quote unquote goons that come in off the bench to purposely, hurt a player or foul a player. That used to be something that's not really around in the game anymore. And I'm not necessarily advocating for that to return to the game, but I love the chippiness, the in the paint, not elbows to the face, but some back and forth action going on.
Yeah, so I love physical basketball. And my problem with the playoffs right now, specifically in the Mavs-Suns series, is there isn't it's been inconsistent on if the refs are going to let them play physical or if they're not going to. In addition, the Mavs and Suns players have turned the series into a flopping contest, and the refs are falling for it on numerous occasions. So I want there to be physical basketball, but just let it be consistent. At least in the Mavs-Suns series, it's been some really ticky-tack fouls and then other fouls. I'm like, wait, what are we doing here? But to your point, physical basketball is the best. The soft, flagrant one that gets called all season, like there are certain fouls, and it's not even close to being a flagrant, but yet, oh, well, by the book, it's got to be. No, come on. Where's the common sense? I wanted it to be physical basketball, let there be contact, and that just makes it more fun. Like Aldridge in his article is saying, the grimy, the ugly, the messiness of playoff basketball, that's where it's at its best. Not when it's just three-pointer after three-pointer, touch fouls after touch foul, 130 to 140 point games. No. Around 100 points, it's messy, it's physical, it's ruthless. Teams are having to grind out W's. That's where it's at its best. It's no brainer.
again, I don't like the dirty play, and it's such a fine line, but that's almost the fun part of it too. Like kind of debating whether, wait, was that dirty? Was that just a tough physical play? And so then you hear the commentators going back and forth. You hear the who's the ref that they bring in from New York, the old refs, Steve Javy. He's always funny to me. He's always funny to me. Like the background for some, I don't know. It's just the setup for him is always interesting.
It's like he's in like NASA or something. Like, dude, where are you? What headquarters are you located in here?
I agree. I don't know what.
Okay, would you rather have that or your NFL draft boy who's just in his recliner in his sofa?
Who's that?
Kuiper. Would you rather have Javy set up or Kuiper set up?
Yeah, well, that's true. Well, Kuiper had a unique. He needs to be at the draft. I mean, I think that's pretty clear.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I'm curious your thoughts as a listener today. Have you enjoyed these NBA playoffs because of the intensity, or do you like more of the, I mean, all these series have had a ton of 3-pointers too. Your Mavs hit what 20 some yesterday.
Oh yeah.
What they land with? What they finish with? 20.
Yeah, they got the 20. It was it
was outrageous. So, that can still take place in the midst of the physical play. So that's where I come out. But the whole idea too of retaliation that now Jordan Poole, like he tried to hurt Ja Morant. I personally don't buy it. I really don't. I was driving in today listening to Doug Gottlieb, and he was talking about like guys today, they don't play that way to try to hurt other players. It's just that's just not the way it goes. But in the course of an intense physical game, like those types of injuries are going to happen, and kind of awkward physical interaction is just going to take place. It's just part of the deal.
Yeah.
So I kind of side on that side of it.
Yeah, so. I just to add, Josh on Facebook commented, Luka and Chris Paul make the refs' jobs nearly impossible when it comes to foul calls. Which that's the hard thing. Like I want there to be physical basketball, but then these guys are able to take advantage of the refs who just fall for the exaggeration. Like, dude, did you just get hit by
flopping.
A hammer?
Not a flopper.
Yeah. I hate flopping. Yeah. I hate it. So we get rid of that. But I don't know. The game's set up where it's so easy to get a touch foul, to overreact. So I just love that Chris Paul got a taste of his own medicine and he fouled out on kind of a borderline touch foul. That was so great for me to see.
Yeah. And Shannon, she just posts drama. And that's what we've seen. All of this is creating drama and intrigue. And we'll talk more about these series in a little bit because we're also just seeing great basketball back and forth. Everybody's still alive. Nobody's pulling away other than if Ja Morant is out, that series is over.
Yeah.
It could be an ugly blowout tonight without Ja. So that could be the case. But all these other with Joel Embiid coming back in Philly, look out. Here come the Sixers. So Miami looked like they were running away.
I know.
Not so much.
Even as a Mavs fan, I thought the Suns were going to run away. I thought it was going to be probably Suns in 5, and now it's 2-2. American Airlines Center looks just undefeated right now. Because my Stars, I know you're not love when I bring up my Dallas Stars, but they big win over Calgary the other day at the American Airlines Center. But then the Bucks, they're winning without Chris Middleton.
True.
They're up 2-1. Every series is tremendous. It's been so good.
So good. I'm loving it. But going back, it's because of the physical play, baby. Keep it going.
Yes.
Even the Celtics Bucks, that's very physical too.
Very physical.
You better believe it. Giannis. So I told you, remember a few months ago, I was like, hey, I'll take the Warriors, Bucks, and Suns. I'm still leaning heavily on the Bucks. It's the Bucks, baby. Giannis, you just watch him. That guy is a machine. He's just put this team on his back night in, night out. He's the guy I trust the most. He's the one I can rely on in these NBA playoffs. As long as he's healthy, man. I just
like he's figured it out. There were some playoff woes his first few years, but
he's got it.
Feels like they figured it out there.
Absolutely. I still think the Warriors have a good shot. I can see them winning again, but I feel most confident in the Bucks. I really do. At least today on a Monday following the weekend. All right. So I watched some good NBA this weekend, but I happened to catch the Kentucky Derby. And I don't always catch it, but sometimes if it works out with my schedule and I'm able to catch it, I didn't catch it completely live, but it was somewhat live. because you have to, there's so much coverage for the Kentucky Derby. It goes on and on and on. So I had to watch something else and then go back and catch it to where right when it started. But it's the fastest 2 minutes. I told Jody and Maddie, hey, 2 minutes, come watch this horse race. Let's see what we got. And so they could get into it.
We need to send a delegation from Unpacking It to the Kentucky Derby next year with our big hats and all the whole get up.
The big hats. Do I want to wear a big hat?
You're not a hat guy. I'll be the hat guy.
You be the hat guy. You be the hat guy. I'm a hat guy on the weekends. I wear a hat all weekend.
Only when you're mowing the lawn or if you don't want to make your hair.
That's true. But anyway, so I watched the Kentucky Derby, and sure enough, this was a historic finish. It was so exciting. And what was the theme of this race? The long shot. The longest of long shots won. And so Rich Strike won the 148th running of the Kentucky Derby as the biggest long shot out of the 20 horses in the race, 80-1. And he ended up winning it, which this was the second longest long shot in the history of this race, going back to 1911 when Donerail was 91-1. Those were his odds. So this was just an outrageous upset victory, long shot, the impossible. And so here at Unpacking It, we take sports stories, relate them to the Bible. And so I want to focus on this concept of long shots and even the actual race. Like within the race, Rich Strike was a long shot to win it once it kind of got going, because he's in the middle of the pack. We're coming down the final stretch of the race. I'm about to become the play-by-play guy, who was so good, by the way. And so all of a sudden, Rich Strike, he burst past the two betting favorites, Epicenter and Zandon. And in the last moment, I mean, it's just this burst of energy to get the victory. And then we go back to kind of going into the race, why he was such a long shot. He was an alternate the entire week. He wasn't even supposed to be in this race. And then someone at the last minute, Ethereal Road, pulled out of the race. And apparently with 30 seconds to go until the deadline to pull out of the race and to get the alternate in was when all of this went down. And Rich Strike on Friday, the day before the race, gets entered into the field and then goes and wins the thing. I mean, this is remarkable. As sports fans, we love this kind of thing. Sometimes we'll see this in golf where a guy at the last minute, enters and qualifies and all that kind of thing. But this is still sort of a rare circumstance where you see this kind of long shot pull this out. And the other thing I read too, where he started in the 20th post position. So whatever that kind of means in the gates and all that, and how they come out of the gates, also put him behind and to be able to overcome all of that and then win, absolutely remarkable. And so everything led to this being impossible, improbable, and a long shot. You and I, we can relate to this in our own lives, where we face circumstances that seem impossible. It seems like we're a long shot to get a job. It seems like a long shot at this point to get pregnant. It's a long shot to get married. It's a long shot that this door is going to open up. It's a long shot that we're going to experience healing. And we start to think to ourselves, it's impossible. It's impossible. This isn't going to happen. It's not going to happen. There's no way. How it's too improbable. I don't see a way. And it's in those moments, it's in those circumstances that we have to remember what God is capable of. That God is the God of the impossible. And it's in these situations where God shows his glorious, remarkable, miraculous ways. And so we have to remember, in these long shot situations, they don't always turn out exactly how we want. That's not the point of today. The point of today is that we can place our hope and trust in the God of the impossible, in the God of the long shots. That's who we serve. We serve an all-powerful, all-loving, all sovereign, omniscient, omnipotent God. And so here are some verses that speak to this. In Jeremiah, God says, "Behold, I am the Lord, the God of all flesh. Is anything too hard for me?" In Luke, it assures us that for nothing will be impossible with God. Matthew tells us, Jesus looked at them intently and said, humanly speaking, it is impossible, but with God, everything is possible. And so no matter what we're facing today, that's what we can cling to. That's the truth. That's the hope that we have in the God that we hopefully know and trust and love. And I'll be honest with you, last week I was feeling this sense of, man, a situation I'm in right now. It's impossible. It's impossible. And I also at that moment thought, well, God is the God of the impossible. So God's going to have to show up. God's going to have to come through. That's the only way. And so this horse race on Saturday, we saw a long shot do the impossible. And in sports, we kind of know this. Like we know there are long shots, but we see upsets. We've seen 16 beat 1. And in college basketball, we've seen App State beat Michigan. Let's not forget that, right? I was there. But we've seen these moments in sports. And so as sports fans, we still have this hope, right? That's why we keep watching. Cleveland Browns fans still have hope that one day their team's going to win a Super Bowl. I just watched Draft Day the other day. I think there's more hope in that team that they built in that movie. But anyway, we have this hope in sports. But do we truly have this kind of hope in the God of the impossible? Do we really believe that? Because if we do, then that gives us the confidence and the faith to keep persevering, to keep enduring in the midst of the challenges that we woke up with today. The situations that seem impossible. We know that God is able. We know that he is capable. I want to go read a quote from Rich Strike's trainer, Eric Reed, the horse that won. The trainer said, I knew what we had and what it was capable of. And if he ran good, anything could happen. And so to word this a little bit differently for us today, we know who we have in God and what he's capable of. And with his goodness and power, anything can happen. So today, let's declare, Lord God, it is you. This is from Jeremiah. It is you who have made the heavens and the earth by your great power and by your outstretched arm. Nothing is too hard for you. It's in these moments when he shines. It's in these moments where his glory comes through. Are we going to trust him? Are we going to place our hope and faith in him? And knowing that he is the God of the impossible, because all things are possible with him. So there's our encouragement for today. I'm right there with you if you're in a situation that seems impossible, but I've seen him over and over show up in my life in the final 30 seconds, so to speak. In the day before the final race, God shows up and does the impossible. And so let's cling to that hope today. All right, so the question to think about, Luke, you can jump in on this as well. Think about the times in your own lives. When has God previously shown up when things seemed like a long shot? And then also for those listening, think about, what is your improbable situation today that feels impossible unless God intervenes? And so you can leave those comments if you're comfortable sharing. You can leave those comments wherever you're watching. But Luke, first off, before you jump in on the spiritual side, did you watch this race?
Negative.
Are you a horse racing guy? Oh,
negative.
You got to see. Did I at least hype it up where you're intrigued?
Well, so I've seen it before. I was out kayaking, enjoying laying down in the kayak, which was nice. I have watched it before, but it is certainly not a priority item for sports watching. Since being married, I have to be strategic in what gets the nod for what I'm going to watch.
This is 2 minutes, Luke. We're asking for 2 minutes. It's the fastest 2 minutes.
There's just so much hoopla and look at me. Oh, it's just an appearance thing. I'm going to show up. Oh, look who's here at the Kentucky Derby. I don't really care. I don't care what you wear. I don't care who's there. I don't care that you're at the Kentucky Derby. The race itself, yeah, that's cool, but I did not tune in this year.
All right. Regardless of that, what's your take on the God of the impossible, long shot circumstances? How do you relate to this?
Well, it's a great topic. And again, I think we talk about this all the time. It's important to remember and reflect and to have these conversations Because in our own sin and our own weakness, it's easy to forget who God is, what he's done, what is true. But being able to talk about that with fellow believers is really important. So for this conversation, as you're talking, I'm reminded, well, yeah, God is the God of the impossible. And that begins with our sin, understanding that we're born with a sin nature. We're depraved completely. We can't save ourselves. Ephesians 2 says we're dead in our sin. Romans 3, we fall short of the glory of God. It was impossible to have fellowship with God in our own strength. And yet God did that. God made a way for us to have fellowship with him, have a relationship. So I love reflecting on the cross and salvation through Christ, through his death, burial, and resurrection, because it gives us reason to believe in God doing other impossible things. I think in my own life, certain mindsets or certain sins that I was stuck in, and God rescuing me from that, that maybe I tried in my own strength, or maybe I didn't think it was sinful, and God sanctified me and gave me this strength to be faithful and to pursue him. And there's certain things for people's lives where it feels like a complete long shot. There's no way I could ever find freedom from this. There's no way I could ever find freedom from that. But God is faithful, and God can do what feels like is impossible. So I think that's a one example in my life on God really bringing me out of certain things to be able to follow him more faithfully. And then I've talked about this before, losing my dad at a young age when I was 8 from cancer. God doing the impossible to bring healing, and not only just bring healing, but to use my family, our story, to bring comfort to others who are experiencing the same thing now. Like being able to celebrate Mother's Day this weekend, to talk about the superstar that is my mom, all of the widows, single moms who she's been able to minister to. That it took years of healing to get to that place, but God, to do what feels impossible, it felt like impossible. Now my mom's ministering to others, whereas 15 years ago, there's no way she could have. So those are two things I think in my life, is just in general, God being able to pull us out of certain sins that feels like we're stuck in them. And then I guess my family, just the feeling of loss, God doing what we felt like was impossible to bring us out of that and to be able to minister to others. And I'm sure you and Jody, with experiencing what it's like to have a miscarriage, you are able, God bringing you out of that, bringing healing, you're able to encourage others, and that's just one way that you guys are able to do that.
That's right. Absolutely. And so, yeah, I think we always got to remember the impossible situations from the past that God came through on. But then also, use that as an encouragement to others. No question about it. So let's see what God's what's he gonna do next in our lives. It's always it's scary when we face these situations, but it's also exciting because we know God's gonna come through in a long shot kind of way. That's where it's where he shines. It really is. It's those but God type of situations. But unless God does something, but unless God shows up, it is impossible. So there you go.
And again, not for our own glory, but God's ultimately going to do to bring glory to himself. But we're created in such a way that when God gets glory, we are fulfilled, like to be part of that.
That's right.
And again, scripture, that's why reading scripture is so important as well. Being able to remind ourselves, oh yeah, God's strong enough to do that. God's big enough to do that. God's gracious enough. All of the countless stories in the Bible where only God was able to bring healing, to bring change, to bring victory. It's like, come on, there's so many examples, but we easily forget. We easily get turned in on ourselves and forget that God is big enough to do the impossible.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, amen. There's Unpack This. If you haven't subscribed to the Unpack This devotional, check that out on unpackingit.com/subscribe. That goes out Monday, Wednesday, Friday in email form. And so we encourage you to check that out, unpackingit.com/subscribe. So let's talk a little NFL, and then we'll try to squeeze in some more NBA playoff talk as well. But I was intrigued to see the Monday Night Football doubleheader was announced. So we got a little bit of a teaser. The full NFL schedule is coming out Thursday, I guess, but we're gonna get little nuggets, little appetizers. We heard the games overseas that are coming out. We got that schedule, so a couple interesting matchups there. But the doubleheader Monday night. So I'm intrigued for a couple reasons. One, it'll be the debut of Joe Buck and Troy Aikman on Monday Night Football, and they posted a video today. I encourage people to watch on social media. Did you see this, Luke?
Mm-mm.
Oh my
I have
goodness.
not.
It was so goofy. Oh, so I mean, I'm embarrassed for them. I mean,
Was it a miss? Were they going for a home run here and it was just a
no,
miss?
but it was just hilarious. Like they're like hanging out on I guess on someone's back porch or something, and they've got like a camera phone, and it's like Joe Buck taking it back and forth between him and Troy. They both don't fit in the screen, and it's like they just invested whatever millions of dollars in these two guys, yet they can't send a camera crew to do their big announcement to say, hey, Monday Night Football week 2, Titans, Bills, Eagles, Vikings, strong matchups. And Joe and Troy are like fumbling around doing this video announcement. I appreciate the rawness to a certain extent. Trust me, we don't do everything perfect here, as we saw last week where my microphone fell off. So trust me, I'm not throwing stones by any means, but I just thought it was hilarious that these guys kind of fumbled their little debut announcement. So go check that out on social media. But anyway, the matchups are set. I always love the doubleheader. I think that there should be a doubleheader every Monday night. That'd be sweet. Like
it would certainly get my viewership.
Yeah, the overlap, because I'm not a big Thursday night guy, but I haven't necessarily been a big Monday night guy until the Manning cast got me back into Monday night last year. I took a few years off of not really being as invested in Monday night.
There's a lot of big changes because now Sunday night's different.
Yeah,
with Michaels and Collinsworth no longer being paired there. Yep. That's going to be different, even though Tirico is tremendous and is going to be good, just fine.
But this Titans-Bills game, I think the Bills go into this season really as like the team that needs to win a Super Bowl, the team expected to win a Super Bowl, because to me the Rams won't be as hungry. I'm real high on the Chargers, but I don't think the pressure's on them quite yet. But the pressure is on the Bills. They have the talent, and so then the question becomes, have they improved enough? Did they do enough to get over the hump this year? And so this will be an early season test with the Titans, because the big question there is, will the Titans, they were the number 1 team in the AFC last year, will they be able to replicate that? Can Henry stay healthy for the whole season? How will they look without A.J. Brown? Tannehill with the pressure behind him. He's not going to mentor Malik Willis, right? We heard that. We talked about that on our Unpacked lunch last week. But will Ryan Tannehill step it up a notch this year? Is he going to be any better?
So I just want to comment on, did the Bills do enough? I'm in the camp of, and we've talked about this before, are we too quick to blow up a team, or they've got to add more, instead of just saying they just need another chance? Like they lost in one of the best games ever to Kansas City, to who's going to go down as one of the greatest quarterbacks to do it in Patrick Mahomes, one of the greatest trios we've ever seen in Kelsey, Hill, and Mahomes. Like that to me, that's just a coin flip. Like, I think it's just give us another chance. I don't necessarily, now, are they going to, of course, should they try to, how can we improve? But I really think it's just, they just need another shot. They've got a Super Bowl caliber team, but as we see in this league, it's impossible to win a Super Bowl. There's so many good teams, so many good players. Teams get hot, teams go cold. Even if you have the most talented roster, you run into an overtime game against Kansas City, and it's just who's going to get the ball last. So I think it's just another shot and see if they can do it. I'm not concerned about the Bills. They are unbelievable.
They drafted a running back, so will that put them over the top as far as a little bit more consistency in the run game?
But what was their starter near the end of the season?
Singletary.
He had a great second half, at least fantasy wise. He was putting up some serious numbers second half of the season.
Yeah. So can he hang on to that starting role? Someone will have to tell me who they drafted. I can't remember the running back they drafted. James Cook. That's right. So he's related to Dalvin Cook somehow. Yeah. His brother.
Yeah, his brother.
Yeah.
He's got he wears the rec specs from Georgia.
Yeah, it's Georgia running back. So yeah, he's got a good shot. He's got a good shot of being a contributor. So to me, that was the biggest hole with the Bills kind of going into the offseason. So we'll see if Cook is the answer there. So yeah, shout out to Landon. I got a new intern in the studio, so now I can just turn to him and I get the answer.
That's right.
That's nice. So there we go. We're all set. I like that. All right. So then the second game on this Monday Night Football doubleheader that they've announced, you got the Eagles Vikings. So the Eagles, I was with my buddy who's an Eagles fan. I was with him Friday night, and he's excited about AJ Brown. He's a loyal
your neighbor, right?
My neighbor, loyal listener of the podcast as well. He loves when the microphone messes up. So he's a big fan of the mic drop that happens at the beginning of the show sometimes. So he gave me a hard time about that. But the big deal with AJ Brown, I'm excited to see what Jalen Hurts has with kind of another off season with this coaching staff, because last year Nick Sirianni was just taken over. So can Hurts take another step? And now with a weapon like AJ Brown complementing Devonta Smith. Devontae Smith. Do we ever land on Devonta or Devontae? You know how I feel about these kind of names.
Well,
is it Mike or Michael? Is it Sam or Samuel? Is it Devontae or Devonta? I don't know.
Don't pull a Herb Street and say Tariq Hill. As long as we don't go Tariq Hill,
well, that's
then
a
you're
good
fine.
point.
Just stick with Smith. Last name, easy.
Well, the Sixers, he was Devontae or Devonta. Oh yeah, I'm sticking with Smith. Smith was at the Sixers game. I think it was last night or the night before, whatever that was. They said former NFL wide receiver. That's what they put on the screen. What? The guy's in his second year. Are you kidding me? Get it together. No, at least I'm not that bad.
Philly fans are just so brutal. They're just projecting over him. Yeah, you'll be out of the league soon.
Yeah, come on. He's a Heisman Trophy winner. No, now that he's the number 2 with AJ Brown, Jalen Hurts is loving life. Dallas Goedert, if he can ever really just be that consistent tight end. They still don't have a running game, a consistent running game. So that's
kind of scary. I mean, they overachieved in comparison to preseason expectations. But like you're saying, this is the year for Jalen Hurts to prove it. The dude has some serious weapons to go to. And a coach that proved himself, hey, I can coach in this league. And I took an Eagles team that was supposed to be bottom feeders to the playoffs.
Yeah.
And so this will be an interesting year in Philadelphia.
They overachieved in a big way. All right, speaking of Philadelphia, let's talk a little more NBA playoffs and these matchups that we have. So how are you feeling about kind of where we stand? Most of these game 4-5 situations, you always want to, let's see, they just finished game 4 tonight, both series 2-1. And then last night, Sixers tying it up, your Mavs tying it up 2-2. So these series are really tight. I'm
so
still
good.
I think the Sixers now have a chance. I don't think Dallas will win this series against Phoenix. But if they can push it to 6, that would be fantastic for them and a big step forward. Yeah. But I do think the Sixers, if Harden is playing like he did yesterday, especially down the stretch in games, which that was the big concern, and then if Embiid can kind of play through this injury and still do enough, they got the crowd electric there. Maxi's such a good player. The Heat are also loaded with talent. I'm always amazed, like their bench is better than so many team starters.
But Duncan Robinson's he hasn't played, which is interesting.
Yeah, Duncan Robinson. I mean, you throw him
the last 2 games, he hasn't played 1 minute, which I don't know what's going on.
One of the Morris twins, like he finally played yesterday. He hadn't played much at all.
My thinking is there's certain teams that must advance. The Celtics must beat the Bucks, who are missing Chris Middleton.
I don't know about that.
Without Chris Middleton, the Celtics, they've built a roster where they think we've arrived. We have 2 dominant wing players, defensive player of the year. We have Robert Williams. I mean, like their team, they've put together a team we're ready to win it all, and now we're playing the Bucks. Well, yes, they have Giannis, and they're defending champions and they're really good still, but they're missing Chris Middleton, who was an All-Star last year. So to me, the Celtics must advance. The Suns are going to beat the Mavs. I mean, the Suns are probably the best team in the NBA. They were head and shoulders above everyone, especially in the Western Conference this season. I mean, they have probably 3 dudes on their bench that can start on 25 other NBA teams. Like Cam Johnson off the bench, that dude's an NBA starter. He's unbelievable. And yeah, so the Mavs getting it to 2-2 was awesome. I was very pleased to see that, but they won't beat the Suns.
Well, Finney-Smith isn't going to be hitting that many threes every night. That's hard to replicate.
But in one sense, yes. But in another sense, they're so open. Like, it's not like them. It's not, I don't think it's a fluke in that the Mavs are just hitting these contested threes all night long. Like, they're choosing to collapse on Luka, who's a great passer. These are wide open looks they're getting. So percentages should go up. So it's like they're having wide open threes. So I think it'll be interesting to see if Phoenix adjusts and just said, but the guys on Dallas radio this morning were saying Phoenix should just like close out all the shooters and see if Luka can get 60. If he can get 60 and we lose, fine. But we're not going to let all these wing shooters just get open look after open look.
True.
Because they've proved they can make them. So I'm hoping they keep leaving them open because these dudes are snipers out there. It's been awesome.
And Brunson being a pretty solid number 2 guy these last couple games.
He's going to get paid so much money this offseason.
I was thinking about that. Dallas still has to pay him no matter what. Even if they end up trading him in the long run, they got to re-sign him. Or
they have to because it's not like, oh, we can let him go and get someone else. Like, I don't know. I feel like you have to try to match every single offer.
Absolutely. Yeah, they got to do that. And then, yeah, with the Celtics, the other thing that I thought about was in the NBA, it's all about being in your prime. And to me, it's really hard for guys like Chris Paul to have big game after big game at his stage of his career.
Yeah,
I just
37?
I just don't think it's realistic. Unless you're LeBron, he's probably still able to do that if he's in the playoffs.
Yeah. That he doesn't count.
He's playing with, But then, like, to me, it's also tough for some of the younger guys that aren't quite in their prime yet. So to me, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, they're really close to their prime, but they're not there yet. And so Tatum has kind of been a little up and down, not the kind of consistent guy that you want. And then I would put even James Harden. Is he still in his prime? Probably not. He's probably getting toward the end of his prime. Whereas Embiid, sweet spot in his prime. Giannis, sweet spot in his prime. Is Steph Curry still in his prime? I guess, but like Klay Thompson isn't. Klay Thompson, he's playing well, but he's not in his prime. And then I think Ja Morant isn't there yet. So that's why I feel most confident in Giannis and Joel Embiid when healthy. Embiid's always I don't have confidence in because he's always injured.
Well, I mean, Embiid came back and they won 2 games. So
that's the difference.
To me, the Sixers must win as well. The Heat have already been to to the finals in the bubble. Embiid's got to get to the conference finals. Really got to try to make it to the finals. I don't know. Harden's an interesting thing. How did he drop off so quickly?
I know, but then he showed last night what he's capable of.
I know.
That's what's crazy with him.
It's pretty fascinating. But
I'm not a Harden fan. No D.
Let me ask you this question. Watching the Warriors. Oh, yeah. That just clicked. Harden.
Come on, man.
Sorry. I was so excited to make my point. That, to be fair, recycled joke. That's a go-to for you.
That's a go-to. Just like Irk Nowitzki.
Okay.
That's right. That's
Irk
right.
Nowitzki. Oh.
These are fresh jokes for the intern. I'm trying to see if he's laughing. I got a studio audience today. My one intern.
I like Irk
see
better.
If he's laughing.
Irk, no D.
All right. Anyway,
about the Warriors, is this the best? Like, has a team drafted better than them over the last 15, 20 years?
It's not even close.
Like their ability to draft and develop. Curry. Like their championships before Kevin Durant, you cannot be mad at. Drafted Curry, developed him. Drafted Klay Thompson, developed him. Drafted Draymond Green, developed him. And now Jordan Poole. Drafted Jordan Poole, who was a G League guy, and developed him to the point where people talking about should we trade Klay Thompson because we have Jordan Poole now.
Yeah.
Like it's
Kuminga.
unbelievable.
Kuminga.
Even Harrison Barnes. Harrison Barnes is on the 2015 championship team. Look what he turned into. Now, the Mavs overpaid him significantly, but he was a good player, worth a shot.
The Warriors, I mean, I guess the Thunder drafting Durant, Harden, and Westbrook. I'm trying again. Still not. Okay. But drafting those three guys, that was legit. But since then, and then the Celtics, they've drafted well with Tatum and Brown.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, what the Warriors have done, there's no question about it. It's remarkable. So still fun with Golden State. Always enjoy watching them and looking forward to tonight with the Grizz.
Shannon commented
without John Morant.
Shannon commented, we need a laugh track or crickets. One of the two.
We'll figure that out. Okay. There you go.
It is a good joke. I was just so eager for my take. I totally tuned you out.
Yeah, that's all right.
Real relational for me.
Yeah, thanks. All right, let's jump into our Medi-Share moment of the week. So each week we try to find something in the world of social media or sports or something that caught our attention. They either made us laugh, made us shed a tear, whatever it may be. This week's Medi-Share moment of the week makes us laugh, and it looked like it made a lot of people laugh. So this is let's see, the Los Angeles Angels. And they just won a game, and Brandon Marsh and Tyler Wade attempted a Gatorade bath during a post-game interview for Anthony Rendon. And so here's what happened. We're going to show the video. Luke, you've got it ready to roll?
We got it ready.
All right, man. You play the video, and then we will respond. So hopefully people saw it. Total miss. They bring the Gatorade bath over, and they totally on the ground, and then he falls. This is Marsh. Marsh falls to the ground and just tumbled. And so, to me, the Gatorade bath, it's like it's this ongoing celebration, and it hasn't really been reinvented. Yeah. But now I kind of like the antics that came with this. This almost made it so much better than just a typical. I mean, we're talking about an April or May baseball win. We're doing the Gatorade bath. You deserve to fall on this one. You deserve this trip and totally whiff.
Yeah.
So, yikes. And then they, I mean, not only do you not land on the player, but then you actually fall to the ground and fall over the Gatorade tank.
To me, the picking up the tank.
The container? What is it? The jug?
The jug.
The Gatorade jug?
Yeah.
There's got to be a better word.
Definitely not tank. For sure not tank.
It's a tank. Tank's filled
with military guy over here. Been watching his war documentaries, trying to get tank in there.
Henry says jug. We'll go jug.
The method of picking it up and then sprinting 10 yards, it fails. It's a failure of a system. You have to pick it up and sneak, tiptoe, and then pour. But the pick it up and sprint 10 yards as you're holding it, you're almost beginning to pour as you run. No, never works. And also, can we outlaw the Gatorade bath in basketball games?
Oh my gosh.
On the basketball court? Or like, come on.
Sloppy.
I'm pretty
messy.
I wonder if KU did that after winning it all. Which, shout out, drinking out of my Kansas national champions mug.
Look at you. You're just loving life.
It is. Come on. It's a great day.
Hey, listeners, as annoying as Luke may be with his Dallas Mavs winning 2 in a row, his Kansas basketball team winning, his Texas A&M team making it to the NIT championship, which we never should have heard about, but we did anyway. The good news is we can all remind him that he's a Cowboys fan. So when in doubt, as you know, we got to hear about the winning. We just say, hey, but remember the Cowboys. Remember the Cowboys.
It's fair.
So it keeps
fair.
That's your sports thorn in your side. How about that?
That is a massive thorn in my side.
Keeps you humble. You got that. I got the Charlotte Hornets and the Panthers, so I'm good. I brag about my Mountaineers, my App State.
You've got Charlotte FC now to hang your hat on, so we'll see what they do.
I got invited to the game on Saturday. I got to make the decision.
Ooh,
got to make the decision on that one.
You got to think if you need to make up an excuse why you can't be there.
Well, you got to think. I did some good work on Mother's Day. Does that translate to a night out to see Charlotte FC?
I mean, you put in a good 2 weeks
on a soccer game.
Yeah, you put in 2 good weeks before March Madness. True. And that bought you some time. But that's true. Do you want to deposit your earned sports time with Charlotte FC?
I might save it for a Panthers game or something better than that. But no, I'm excited. I do want to go to one of the games. So I will try to get there at some point this summer. So we'll see. All right. So there you go. There's your Medi-Share moment of the week. We are brought to you by Medi-Share. Check out Medi-Share.com/unpacking it. Just take a look. Take a look if you can save some money with your healthcare. See if it's the right option for you. They offer programs for every budget, and the best part is their members, on average, save 50% or more on their healthcare costs. So Medi-Share.com/unpacking it. Well, we love wrapping up the show with some goofiness, some fun, maybe a sports story that we missed throughout the show. And so we bring on our great producer, Henry Bienimae from Connecticut. Henry, good to see you. Clean cut, looking sharp. How you doing?
What's going on, boys? Happy Mother's Day to your mother, Luke, to your guys' mothers as well. Mother's Day, just to give a quick recap. The thing, and going back to you, Bryce, my wife's birthday is May 3rd, and then Mother's Day that following Sunday. So your boy had a little bit of a challenge, but he met the challenge. So this is how it went. On Thursday, we went to see Stephen Furtick up in Boston, and he had a worship service there. Then on Saturday, we went to see, speaking of soccer, the Hartford Athletic. They got a 1-0 win. And then on Sunday, I took the whole family with my mother-in-law included, and we went out to see the Hartford Yard Goats, which is the minor league team for the Colorado Rockies.
Let me stop you right there. The Yard Goats?
Yeah.
The Yard Goats?
That's too.
Come on, Henry.
This isn't real. I didn't make it out.
This isn't real.
Yes, they are called the Yard Goats. And for those of you on the podcast that doesn't know, a Yard Goat is the train car that actually pulls the train.
Well, so this opens up another conversation, maybe for another day, but franchises determining mascot names. Like it's just like out of a children's book. Like why? Or it just makes like it's the least intimidating thing of all time. Why on earth did New Orleans choose Pelicans as their name?
Yeah.
The Pelicans?
Yeah.
Well, you got the Cleveland Guardians.
You got the Cleveland Guardians.
Commandos.
And then the Washington Command.
Like, can we have some focus groups here that we're implementing in the process? It's just gotta have some intimidation with the mascot.
I guarantee you, none of the public were involved in naming the Yard Goats.
The Yard Goats. It's like no one's gonna come to our games, so we must use an outlandish name to just get some free press. We'll be the Yard Goats.
Well, Henry, I hope you at least got your wife a funnel cake or something at the Yard Goats. Was she thrilled about this? The Yard Goats?
Oh, she was. Oh, she was fun. She loves going to baseball.
This?
She loves going to baseball, especially, and that's a whole other topic for another day. But in answer to your question, that wasn't the only thing. I got both my mother-in-law and my wife a dozen of chocolate-covered strawberries.
Oh, nice touch.
Well, so what's Henry's wife going to do to get him back for Father's Day? Take him to a ballet recital?
Oh, my God. My wife hates the ballet.
You took me to a Yard Goats game. Yeah, we're going to go see the symphony for your Father's Day.
That's right.
I think that'd be more of a punishment for her than it would be for me.
Oh, wow. No, that's cool. Live baseball is fun. I'm with you. We've got multiple places around here. We have Charlotte, but then some of the smaller towns around this area have other random teams. The Cannonballers and
I'll tell you what. The Charlotte Checkers minor league hockey team, unbelievable. One of the best games I've ever been to.
Wow.
At Bojangles Arena or Coliseum. Right. What a great place.
Don't get me started on the hockey teams up here in Connecticut. One of them is the Sound Tigers. I'm not exactly sure what a Sound Tiger is, but that's the minor league team for the Islanders.
Let's just pull two nouns out of a hat, put them together. That's our mascot.
I love it. I love it. All right, Henry.
All right, let's jump into Tap Drill here. If you guys didn't know, earlier today it was announced. Sorry, Luke, it was not Luka that got the MVP. It was none other than the reigning MVP, who is now a two-time MVP, Nikola Jokic. It was announced today that he is now a back-to-back NBA MVP. He averaged a double-double for the season, almost a triple-double, 27 points, 13 rebounds, 8 assists, and he is the only person in history to rack up 2,000 points, 1,000 rebounds, and 500 assists. Now, if you go on Twitter, the people's champion, no offense to Dwayne Johnson, is Joel Embiid. So, boys, did they get the NBA MVP right?
So I was thinking about this driving in or sometime today. To me, the MVP has to be more than a stat guy, meaning they have to be valuable to the NBA. And I'm not sure that people are tuning in to watch the Denver Nuggets ever. And so if not to mention, they're not even in the second round of the playoffs. And I understand this is a regular season award, but how many times do we have to watch the Nuggets lose in the playoffs, and we're still going to give Nikola Jokic the MVP? No, it's Joel Embiid, and we're seeing it right in front of our eyes. This is the MVP of the league. It's very clear. People tune in to watch the Sixers. Embiid does commercials. He's great for the NBA. He's a big personality, and he's awesome, and he carries his team. He's a difference maker. You know, to me, Nikola Jokic should be the guy that, like, finishes second every year. That, like, you look back in the history and it's like, wow, this guy had incredible numbers. He's a really good player, but he doesn't actually win it. That's how I feel about it. So I'm surprised he's won not one, but two. So that's shocking to me.
Yeah. To other perspective of it, to see
what you see the face of the league. Not that Embiid is necessarily. Then I would give it to Giannis. So, like, to me, it's like Giannis or Embiid. Either one would be fine with me.
Just to give perspective on the other side of it, he did take the Nuggets to the playoffs without Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray, who had season-ending injuries.
That's fair.
And his numbers are incredible. So I don't think it's a matter of, wow, what a miss by the league to give him the MVP.
No.
The sports fan in me was wanting to see Embiid get the credit deserved for what an amazing player he is. And maybe this is just too much emotion for my perspective on this, but I feel like Embiid deserved it. Like, where he's come from, he was averaging 30 a game for most of the season. I mean, his value to the team is just amazing. He is so good. Now, just to add a little more annoyance for if you're hating Mavs talk, how can Luka continue to be left out? Now, I realize to win MVP is hard because it's not insane that Luka was left out when it's Giannis, Embiid, and Jokic. But my boy Luka, he's got to be in the conversation next year.
Oh, he will be. He was this year. But he's a rising. He's not there yet. He's not in that prime yet. So he'll get there. And Ja Morant too. He'll be in that mix without a doubt. This year he missed too many games probably.
Yeah.
Team. Shannon says team MVP, but not league MVP. Yeah, to me it's like you got to be really dominant over the whole league, and everybody's kind of tuning in to see what he's gonna do. And part of it is just his style of play, maybe as well. Not as flashy. All right, Henry, next question.
Well, speaking of Ja Morant, did you happen to notice in one game of the Warriors versus the Grizzlies, did you see the do-si-do that Steph and Jordan Poole did along the baseline there? They were running along the baseline, locked arms, and then went in the opposite direction, kind of like square dancing. So, boys, what do you?
Oh, no, we lost Henry.
He'll be back. There
Go
he
ahead,
is.
Henry.
Okay, so like I said, they did a little do-si-do as if they were in a square dance. So, boys, what do you think about square dancing?
Ooh, so I've probably done square dancing just a couple times. It was funny. I was reading an article about this play, and they were talking about back in like middle school or high school when you learn different dance moves. And the one that I remember learning was the electric slide. That was kind of
Yes.
Yes. I don't know, Luke. Is that still around? Did you learn the electric slide, or is that we moved past that one? That's not really square dancing, but that was like the one move. And I don't know if you can incorporate that into a basketball play. Little step forward, back, lean forward. Can you do that? I don't know. But
I don't know. I mean,
Curry and Poole, way to go.
I could definitely tell you, though, that it is still a wedding dance staple. It is still a wedding dance staple. The electric slide.
The problem, though, with these line dances, these choreographed dances that everyone does, is the DJ leaves the song on way too long. For Cupid Shuffle, like, dude.
Oh, yes.
Like, we've been doing the same move for 2.5 minutes. My legs are on fire. And now we're really bored. Everyone's faces have gone from smiles to just like, that's right, I want to be on the couch. Everyone's faces go from smiling to just emotionless. I'm like, dude, let's get another song, please. Come on. We can't do a 4-minute Cupid Shuffle. Let's get a minute and a half, and let's go on to the next one. Same thing with Copperhead Road. It's the same move for 5 minutes. Way too much. DJ can't get greedy.
Square dancing isn't that bad, but the music is usually bad. So like the actual act of square dancing, I could probably get behind it. But then the other thing too is you end up having a lot of dance partners. So if you're really, with someone, then you really just want to dance with that person. You don't want to be dancing with the whole room. Whereas square dancing is almost this kind of, I don't know, a different phase of life, maybe. So I haven't been square dancing anytime lately.
Well, as the DJ of Tap Drill, we're going to go on to the next topic. And to your favorite guys, golf. So we have James Hahn here, and he's trying to do his thing on the course. And then the next thing you know, he's listening to somebody eating chips with the bag of the chips and ruffling the bag. And so, boys, let me ask you this. One, why are we eating on the golf course anyway? And two, why wasn't he even kicked out of the foursome?
This is hilarious. So apparently he heard someone in the crowd. He told him, he goes, I hear you eating those chips. I mean, these golfers are, usually they're locked in and focused, but we all know this, right? And this is my question for you guys are you the one in your marriage that gets annoyed with the other person when you have to hear them eat or drink? Or are you the one that is the annoying one? So for me, I drive Jody nuts by the way that I crunch. She doesn't like the way I crunch. So she could hear it from across the room. She goes, I can hear you crunching. I can hear you. So she would fall in line with this James Hahn. And I'm thinking to myself, dude, I'm just here eating some chips. What am I supposed to do?
Yeah. So that's this was actually a discussion yesterday. I am clearly the one who annoys Madeline with my chewing, my swallowing. Apparently I smack when I have food in my mouth and I get so eager to share something in a conversation. I just start smacking while I start talking. I remember a phone call while we were dating. I was drinking a sparkling water and I guess I took a loud swallow and she goes,
a loud swallow?
She was like, wow. Was that you? What was that noise? I'm like, I'm enjoying this lime bubbly. She goes, that was a very, very loud swallow. So apparently I swallow loud.
Is it more of a woman thing? I don't know.
I don't know because chewing, like my mom told me this growing up too, and now Madeline has affirmed it. Apparently it's like a washing machine when I'm chewing. It's like I just put a load of laundry in of darks. I'm like, I can't help it. That's the way I chew. But apparently it's like, are we in a laundromat right now? Can we turn the volume down?
Oh, that's great.
I'm definitely the one that annoys the other person.
Gosh, but the problem is I don't know. There's no way to change it other than I just have to leave the room.
To be miserable. Yeah. I want to chew how I want to chew.
Well, I also like to savor my food. So I'm really chewing.
Yo.
Every bite counts. So,
well, for me in particular, my wife does it at the most inopportune time when I'm wound down, ready for bed. I'm almost there, and then you hear crunch, crunch, crunch.
ooh.
And now I'm up for the next 2 hours.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that,
But go ahead.
I don't want to go. I have no interest in going into your bedroom, but it sounds like she's snacking before bed. So
yeah, that's what she does. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wow. Yeah, that's a tough one. That could be annoying. That's fair.
So we're gonna move on from that, and we're
gonna leave it there. But that's a tough. I hate that for you. That's a tough situation.
We're gonna leave that right there. We got one more tap drill though. Today is the anniversary of one of the favorite sports rants of all time. We're talking about practice.
Or was it maybe
Allen Iverson?
Maybe last week it was.
Yeah, with Allen Iverson's what was it, like a 3-minute, 4-minute tirade? We're talking about practice, not a game, practice. So, boys, what is your favorite sports rant of all time?
Gosh, what a great question. So I think of the most common ones, it's Herm Edwards, you play to win the game. Because I think it's true. I love it. I love Herm Edwards, former guest on the show. So I think that's my go-to one. I will say the one that annoys me more than anyone of all the others is the Jim Mora playoffs. I don't like that. It's annoying. Like you're always talking about playoffs. It's a playoffs. Playoffs. Stop. Get it out of here. I don't want it anymore.
So I've got two, and the last one I'm gonna need your feedback on it, Bryce. The first one is Mike Gundy's rant on I'm a man.
I'm 40.
I'm 40.
I love that.
Write about me, which I totally agree with his point he's making. Like, stop trying to destroy my players who are 19 years old in the paper trying to say they can't do their job. I'm a man. I'm 40. Awesome rant. Now, I don't know if the second one classifies as a rant, but I thought of it, and it's when Jim Rome kept calling that other guy a girl or a...
Oh, no.
You'll have to remind me the details, but I read an article that considered it a rant. So do you consider it a rant / we've talked about it, and it is... I thought it was a bit. I asked you, I was like, wait, was this a bit or was this real?
No, that's who Jim Rome is.
Oh,
Jim Rome, that was so long ago. It was early 90s. Jim Everett was the quarterback for the Rams, and Jim thought he was soft, and so he called him Chris Everett, which I forget what sport Chris Everett. Do you remember, Henry? What sport was Chris Everett from?
Tennis.
He was like a gymnast. Oh, tennis. So he was calling Jim Everett Chris. So he did this on the radio. Well, then he brings Jim Everett onto his show in person, and Jim goes, welcome on Jim Everett. No. Check that. Chris Everett. And then Chris goes, call me Chris one more time. And Jim goes, all right, Chris, welcome to the show. Glad to have you here, Chris. And then Chris flips the table. He flips the table, or Jim. Jim flips the table.
Yeah, be careful.
Jim Everett flips the table, and they go after. They have a little scuffle. I mean,
I saw that, and I was like, was this an SNL bit or what's going on?
Oh,
the way you say it, though, it's almost like the precursor to that elf scene. Call me an elf one more time.
That's exactly right.
Call me an elf one more time. You're an angry elf.
Great connection. I've never thought of that. That's tremendous.
It's the exact same.
Tremendous, Luke.
Well, we're definitely going to end on my favorite one. God rest his soul. Denny Green. We are who we thought they were.
And we let him off the hook.
And I'm going to let you guys off the hook of Tap Drill.
Perfect. Great job, Henry. Yeah, I like that one too. I'm still in on that rant. Do you guys remember the one? There's like a minor league baseball team, and the guy, we're dogs. Remember that one? Don't look that one up. I forget. Coastal Carolina or something. Is that what it? Coastal Carolina.
Coastal Carolina. Yeah.
Coastal Carolina. We're dogs. We're dogs. That one's pretty epic too. So there you go. There's a tap drill today. Good job, Henry, Luke. Great show. Thanks everybody listening. Thanks to our new intern, Landon. He helped on today's show as well. Thanks everybody listening. All the feedback on the chat. We appreciate you guys. And thanks everybody that reaches out later. I appreciate your emails and texts and love hearing from our listeners. So you can always email me, Bryce@unpackingit.com. Bryce@unpackingit.com. Well, coming up this week, we've got a couple more interviews that we'll keep releasing. We try to release 2 a week. So be on the lookout for those. Last week, we had Rocky Seto, incredible interview with him, former Seattle Seahawk coach under Pete Carroll, left to become a pastor. Really inspiring. So I encourage you to check that one out. And then also, if you haven't subscribed to the weekday email devotional, you can do that on unpackingit.com. Well, for all the guys here, I'm Bryce. I'm a sports fan who follows Jesus. I believe in the good news that he died on the cross for my sin. He was resurrected. And through faith, I've been saved by his grace. I hope that is true for you as well. And I hope you'll join me as we live life as sports fans who follow Jesus together. Have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you next time right here on the Unpacking It Live podcast, presented by Medi-Share.